Is it
It's one of the
synthetic?
reasons why tennis balls are so hard to recycle because the to make a really great tennis ball, you have to have a blend of nylon, wool, and a little bit of cotton sometimes.
Okay. All
And
right.
those fibers are actually bound together. So it's not like there's a wool fiber and a nylon
Ah,
fiber.
wow.
They're
Okay.
bound together so that there's wool and nylon within one fiber. And
Wow.
so it really
Amazing.
depends on the brand, but that's what you're looking at, a mixture of
Yeah.
nylon and wool.
Positively West Virginia is presented by Interaction Media and sponsored by Huntington Bank, Highmark West Virginia, and Freedom Kia of Morgantown. With help from our sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Well, folks, we're visiting today with Erin Cunningham. She is the Executive Director at Recycleballs. And if you haven't heard of Recycleballs, you're about to. They're moving their headquarters from Vermont to Bellington in Barbour
That's
County,
right.
at West Virginia. And this is an exciting story. Erin, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And I know you're joining us remotely. You can't be here in the studio, but you've got some exciting news. I want to first learn about Recycleballs because what I've learned just over the last couple of days is pretty exciting. But tell us a little bit about Recycleballs and what it is you guys do.
Absolutely. We are in the space of sports sustainability. So, how do we have a better impact on the environment in our sports? Huge part of our culture here. And so, very particularly, we are starting with the tennis ball, and we are the only large scale uh, reuse and recycler of tennis balls in all of the Western hemisphere. So, there are 180 in 2022, 189 million tennis balls were imported into the US, and that's the equivalent of about 21 airliners filled top to bottom.
With tennis
And
balls.
yeah, with tennis balls.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, 189 million tennis balls came into the US. And so our mission is to reuse, recycle, extend the lifespan of every single one of those tennis balls. And it's a labor of love. And it's incredible because all of that material that the tennis ball is made of can get reused.
Mm.
And it's challenging because of the way that it's constructed, but it's definitely doable. And so
Mm.
Recyclables is taking that on.
That's amazing. And what's interesting to me is that I didn't really think about it too much because a tennis ball doesn't, it's not like a waste auto tire that ends up in a landfill, but a
Right.
tennis ball is just a tiny thing, but they end up in the landfills eventually, right? Because they wear
That's
out.
right.
That they lose their bounce. And as a former tennis player years ago, you only want to play with those balls for what, a couple of outings or whatever, right? A couple
That's
matches,
right.
and then they
Yeah,
wear out and they lose their luster, and then they end up in the garbage and in a landfill. And what you're doing is changing that, creating the sustainable model where you take the felt, you recycle that, you're taking the rubber, which is I guess a material that doesn't really break down. It
that's
takes
right.
years
Mhm.
and years and years, decades really, to break rubber
That's
down.
right.
And if it lands in the landfill, then that's not good either. So you're doing something very noble. And this is a nonprofit organization, right? Like a 501(c)(3).
That's exactly right. That's exactly
Okay.
right.
So
We're a
Erin,
nonprofit organization really focused on that mission of diverting the tennis balls from landfills. Because you're right. It's a small thing. You don't really think about it, but it's a tennis ball is about 2.5 ounces.
yeah,
And so but when you add 189 million of them, that's a lot of
per
rubber.
year.
Per
Yeah.
year, every
Yeah.
year,
Wow.
189 million. And you're right. You have a tennis ball, you pop that top if you're a tennis player,
Wow.
and you're like, the smell of fresh tennis balls. But they only last for a couple of hours and then they spend years in the landfill, but they don't have to.
It's funny that you mentioned that sound,
Mhm.
of the fresh can being cracked open. When I was a little kid, I didn't know anything, and I would go into like the sporting goods area, and I loved the sound of that. So I would just break the
Oh
cans
no.
open. I'm like, what? And then years later, I mean, I was like 8 years old. I didn't know. And then years later, when I was a tennis player in high school, I thought, man, what did I do? I ruined all those cans of tennis balls because they're pressured, right?
That's right. That's right. As soon as that seal pops, they start losing their pressure.
Oh, wow, what a dumb thing to have done. I think the statute of limitations is passed though, so I'm not going to be
Probably.
going to serve any time for that for sure. But all right, so Erin, this is amazing. What inspired you to get it, into Recycle Balls? How long have you been with the organization, and what inspired you to get in with this group?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the start of Recycleballs before I get to me.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a really interesting story. In 2016, the founder of the organization, Derek Sr., and his son Ryan were playing tennis. And they, father and son outing, they love to spend time together. And they were about to throw away their tennis balls and looked in the trash can and realized there was a whole filled a trash can of tennis balls. And they're like, there's got to be something else that we can do with these. And so they started looking around, doing the research, and there was nothing else. Tennis balls go in the trash can, and that's kind of all there was to it at the time. And so they started working together, father-son team, to say, we can change this.
Wow.
And Recycleballs was born. So and now we're recycling almost 3 million tennis balls every single year.
Wow.
I joined the organization in 2022, right at the end of the year. So I've been with Recycleballs for about 18 months. And what inspired me to join Recycleballs is that there's so many challenges that our world is facing. And I have spent a career in nonprofits, a lot in youth development, community development, where really great work is being done. And Recycleballs is a place where you can see what the solution is, and you can see a path to be able to get there. It's, it's really just a tennis ball, but it's headed to the landfill. All of that material can be reused. There's so many of them that come into the country every single year, and we can create a system where that gets changed. That doesn't have to be that way. And so we know exactly what the goal is, 189 million tennis balls. And we can start creating systems that chip away at that. And that's what really inspired me. Was this started because someone said, this is a problem and it can be solved. And then when you look at the scope of this problem, it really is one of those challenges that has a solution. And if we work together to chip away at it, a few years down the line, tennis balls won't go into the trash
I
anymore.
love it. Yeah,
They'll
no,
just be recycled.
it's fantastic, Erin. And I'm a big proponent and a huge advocate of entrepreneurship, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. I love this mission, and the thing that stands out to me is exactly what you said. This father and son group, this team, they saw a problem and they fell in love with a problem. A lot of people fall in love with their solution. I'm an advocate of falling in love with the problem, because once you do that, then you've got that fire, you got the passion, and you speak with that. Even though you're not the founder, you're the executive director, the leader of the organization now. And I love your passion and enthusiasm for solving this, I think, a very important problem that I didn't even know existed.
Thanks, Jim. I love that idea of falling in love with a problem, because that's exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
And we say that we recycle tennis balls, which we absolutely do. We have a specialty machine, which you can see behind me. But really, we're focused on extending the life of the tennis ball. And so that's one of the things that we're always digging into. Is this is kind of interesting. What problems can tennis balls solve?
Yeah.
So of course there's your dog toy, right?
Yeah.
Also schools will put the tennis balls on the bottom of chairs to help the classroom be more quiet. And so we're solving that problem.
That's great.
We can put now we know that we can put tennis balls into tennis courts. And so we have a partner that we're working with that can put tennis balls into tennis courts, which is helping put recycled material back into
That's
new
awesome.
things that are happening. And
That's
so
awesome.
it's
I
not
love it.
just a linear, you use your tennis ball once and then we recycle it into something new. We're looking at extending the life of the tennis ball by solving as many problems with the tennis ball as we possibly can.
I love it. Erin, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
Adventure awaits. It's time to hit the road with a brand new Kia from Freedom Kia in Morgantown. Whether you're traveling near or far, you'll love the journey in the all-new 2024 Kia Sorento. Right now, save $3,750 on select 2024 Kia Sorentos. All month long, Freedom Kia is donating $50 for every vehicle sold to Davis Crew Kittens, Inc. Head to Freedom Kia right off exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown or visit us at www.freedomkia.net.
Erin, this is just awesome. We're visiting with Erin Cunningham. She's the Executive Director of Recycleballs, and I love the passion. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of the uses, but I would like to shift the conversation to talk about, this organization was currently headquartered in Vermont, and just in 2024, you're shifting and moving the entire headquarters to Bellington, West Virginia in Barbour County. I love this.
We love it too.
Talk about why are you bringing the whole company here to West Virginia?
Absolutely. Well, the founder lived in Vermont. So we started in Vermont, which was a fantastic place to be. And then as we grew and grew, a huge amount of our business is based on shipping. Tennis balls are used all over the country, all over the world, really. We're focused on Canada and the lower 48 states. And so when we look at shipping, our headquarters in South Burlington, Vermont, there was about 20% of the US population that was within 500 miles. When we looked at West Virginia, 44% of the US population is within 500 miles of Bellington, West Virginia.
Wow.
That's very central.
Yes.
You wouldn't know it by being there, but it's really close to so many places. And so when we said, how are we best having our own environmental footprint, right? We don't want to ship things that we don't, more distance than we have to. And the cost of shipping, of course, is one of our biggest expenses. And so how do we reduce both of those things? And, Jim, we looked a lot of places. We were really deep in conversations with a place in Kentucky. We were in conversations in Indiana, Ohio. But what I will tell you is that West Virginia was so welcoming. And they really understood. The people that we were talking with at the Development Authority, the Economic Development Authority, were fantastic. They really took time to understand what we needed.
Yes.
And then they were so welcoming that when it came time to go one way or another, West Virginia was the clear winner. And Bellington in particular was just a fantastic place for us to be. So we're located at 313 Industrial Park.
Yes.
In Bellington, and we are so happy to be there.
This is exciting, and I want to give a shout out to Amber Higgins. She is the president of the Barbour County Development Authority. She is a wonderful person right there in Philippi, West Virginia. And honestly, one of the reasons this excites me so much is that Barbour County over the last year or so has had so much negative press with the fallout of the closure of Alderson Broaddus University. I mean, a major employer there, and people wondering what is going to happen with our community. And if you haven't been to Barbour County, folks, you need to get there. And Bellington's an awesome place. One of my good buddies, Josh Yeager, the Bellington Bomber, played for WVU. That's kind of the Bellington's claim to fame, I think, as a basketball player several years ago. But anyway, the point is that now this is a breath of fresh air, right? Recycleballs moving their headquarters from Vermont to Bellington, and I love it, and I think it's incredible. And again, I want to give a shout out to Amber Higgins with the Development Authority there in Barbour County. She's doing really cool things. What was the you mentioned, like, the welcoming and so forth. What about the people that you're seeing? Obviously, you're going to be creating jobs there. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. So we actually did our move in January.
Oh,
And
okay, good.
our warehouse manager, Jim, and has been hired. He's from the area, Truman, and his family live there. Also works at our warehouse now. So I can't tell you how fantastic it has been. This area is just filled with problem solvers, people who work hard, people who take initiative. I will say that we have interesting problems in the world of tennis ball recycling because there isn't anyone else that we can go to. There's no one else. And so
Exactly.
when we start thinking about what are the other uses, what does it take to break something down? How do you run our one-of-a-kind machine? So we have a one-of-a-kind tennis ball recycling machine that can separate the rubber from the felt. And we had to break it down in Vermont and send it in pieces to West Virginia and
Oh my.
Bellington. It came on 2 giant flatbed trucks, and Jim and Truman and Wayne, who was with us, they just tackled this. In fact, Truman was saying, he's like, I am so excited that I get to be a person, one of just a handful in the world that got a chance to work with this machine to put it back together. And there were no plans. We didn't have, this is how this machine goes together, right? It's one of a kind. And so they just went about just jumping in, and that ingenuity, that go get it attitude, I think that's what we see all over Bellington and Barbour County.
I love it.
So we're just thrilled to be there.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I want to talk, Erin, just for a minute. Something that struck me when I was on your website is the idea of green gold.
That's right.
Are you able to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I'm so excited to be able to talk about that.
Okay.
Particularly because I know that there are many equestrians in West Virginia, and it's an area that we haven't had a lot of marketing, actually. And so our green gold product was developed by an equestrian. It is arena horse footing. So it's both the tennis ball rubber and the tennis ball felt mixed together in a proprietary blend that you can put in your horse arena. You're wondering, why would I want to put tennis balls in my horse arena? But tennis balls are a natural rubber, and you have the felt, and so the rubber reduces the compaction in the arena. So when you ride on it, if you're not an equestrian, when you ride on an arena, it gets hard, which is bad for the horse's legs.
Sure.
And so the rubber gets into that dirt and it reduces that compaction. And then as it wiggles in, it also adds a little bit of extra rebound, a little bit of extra cushion, which reduces the injuries that horses face from repetitive movement over and over and over on those hard arenas. Now we add the felt in as well, which holds just the right amount of moisture. It also creates a little bit of a web in the dirt to reduce that compaction as well. So now you have to water less, you have to drag the arena fewer times. So not only are you using a recycled product, but you're also having a better impact on the environment as well by reducing your regular maintenance.
Yeah.
So you have happier horses. You have more time that you're actually riding, and you're having a positive environmental impact. And all of this was developed by a horsewoman, Suki, in Vermont, who said, oh my gosh, you're recycling tennis balls? I have a problem, Jim, and I think that this could solve it.
I love it.
So,
It's very lots of ingenuity going in to
That's right.
to your nonprofit organization. The one thing that kind of struck me too is that, well, first of all, the tennis ball felt, you mentioned the rubber is natural rubber, but the felt, is that like a wool material?
It's
Is it
one of the
synthetic?
reasons why tennis balls are so hard to recycle, because to make a really great tennis ball, you have to have a blend of nylon, wool, and a little bit of cotton sometimes.
Okay. All
And
right.
those fibers are actually bound together. So it's not like there's a wool fiber and a nylon fiber.
Wow.
They're
Okay.
bound together so that there's wool and nylon within one fiber. And
Wow.
so it really
Amazing.
depends on the brand, but that's what you're looking at, a mixture of
Yeah.
nylon and wool.
And typically, back in the day, I remember tennis balls were white, and then they became like this neon green, neon
That's right.
yellow that you see a lot. And then there was even a time period there where there was like neon orange tennis balls.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so when you put this bedding down for the horse bedding, when you first put it down, it has this neon green look, according to some of the pictures. But over time, it all dissipates into the earth, and
That's right.
you may be shocking to see this neon green color on your horse arena, but over time it just blends in and it looks great.
And it actually happens really fast. That is one thing that people are concerned
Oh.
about is my horse going to accept this neon green? One, we haven't had anybody whose horse hasn't accepted the color. Additionally, it only takes a couple of weeks before it just starts getting mixed in with whatever footing you already have in your arena, whether that's dirt or stone dust, and people have a lot of different substrates for their arena. And so this mixes in with anything. You don't have to have a special drag. And if you have an indoor arena, although there isn't the bright green color, it does lighten the dirt just a little bit. So you get a little bit of extra brightness factor for those people who have indoor arenas, which is really nice.
Yeah, I love that. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So Storymaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use Storymaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee, plus a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Folks, here at Interaction Media, we're a media company, and we rely on high-speed internet every single day to get our jobs done. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, it's fast, and they're awesome people as well. Learn more at breezeline.com. All right, folks, we're back with Erin Cunningham. She's the Executive Director of Recycleballs. And if you haven't figured this out yet, they moved their corporate facility from Vermont to Bellington, West Virginia in Barbour County. Erin, you've got a couple of exciting pieces of news that we could break right here on the show today. Give us a recap of a couple of things that you guys are excited about right now.
Absolutely. We have two big things. The first is kind of breaking news. We just found out that Recycleballs is one of 20 winners from the U.S. Department of Energy Innovation in Circularity. So this is all of the ways that materials can be reused before they're recycled. So I talked a little bit about balls for dogs or balls that go on the bottom of chairs or our green gold horse arena footing. Yeah. All of these things are actually reuse before they're recycled. We also do recycling, which is where you break the felt apart from the rubber and the rubber can be reused, like in tennis courts, that's recycling. But the Department of Energy has recognized Recycleballs as a leader in innovation for all of those things before recycling. Amazing. So we might see a tennis ball up to 3 times before we actually break it apart and use the felt and the rubber separately, which is pretty exciting. That takes a lot of work, a lot of ingenuity. Like I mentioned, Jim and Truman, who are out there sorting the tennis balls for their next best use, and to be recognized as one of 20 winners by the U.S. Department of Energy for innovation in circularity, we are just over the moon. And so wanted to share that because it is an award or a recognition that's shared with our entire network of volunteers and facilities that send in tennis balls, of the people that purchase used instead of new. And we couldn't be prouder to be able to bring that recognition to West Virginia.
That's awesome. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then the second thing is an open invite to anyone who is watching this podcast or listening to it, which is our open house. We have had so many questions. I said the Bellington community has been so welcoming, and with that has come a lot of, what are you guys working on? How do you do what you do? And so we are inviting anyone who would like to join us on Friday, July 12th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at our warehouse for a tour. You can see the green gold horse footing. You can feel the powdered rubber, what it feels like, what a tennis ball innards feel like without any felt.
That's cool.
And we'll be having bakery items from the fantastic bagel bakery in Bellington. And so we would love to invite anyone to come and join us for just a celebration and a tour of our facility.
Yeah, I love that. It's and we'll make sure we put that on our social media and make sure that folks are aware of that and promote it for you guys too, because I think, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, there's been so much negative press in Barbour County, and this is just a breath of fresh air. Legitimate company moving from Vermont to West Virginia. I love that story in and of itself. And so, Erin, I think that's really fantastic. If you could, like, just give your thoughts on, advice to somebody thinking about, bringing their company to West Virginia, what would you say to them?
I would say do it. I would say do it in a heartbeat. Reach out to the people in the community that you're thinking about relocating to, or to the Economic Development Authority, and they can even point you in the right direction. We didn't have Bellington on our map until we were able to meet with the fantastic people in the Economic Development Authority, and they were able to say, this area might work for you, or here are some of the buildings that are available. The support that West Virginia provides to new businesses coming in is absolutely incredible. And we were so lucky to be able to have it. We wouldn't be here without it. And now that we're here, we're so excited to be able to start this new chapter for Recycleballs with West Virginia and the community of Bellington.
Yes, Erin Cunningham, the Executive Director with Recycleballs. Make sure that you guys come down to check their event out Friday, July 12th. It was at 10 a.m., I think you
10
said?
a.m.
All
That's
right,
right,
great.
10 to 11.
And let folks know that this is a great company. We need to support them. They're a nonprofit organization, but they're a company, bringing jobs here to West Virginia, especially in an area that's been hard hit with job loss, which is Barbour County, West Virginia. Erin, I just want to say, first of all, it's great to meet you. I think what you're doing is incredible, and I love the whole idea of Recycleballs and finding not only reuse of the product but also recycling and breaking it down and making sure that we are being good stewards of our environment. I think it's fantastic. And who would have thought that there could have been all that in a tennis ball?
Jim, thank you so much for having me. This has just been delightful, and I hope that you are starting to fall in love with our problem.
Yes.
And as we move our mission forward, we can count you as part of our network of
I'm a
everyone
fan.
helping to solve it.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelyWV.com/sponsor.
Absolutely. I'm a fan. I love it. Folks, that's a wrap on the latest episode of Positively West Virginia. If you know somebody, or if you yourself would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positivelyWV.com. Of course, we appreciate your support and encouragement along the way as well. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Justin Schofield, behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.